This is the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla in the 3D Security and Training Academy studios.
This is why you should be king, my friend. You're all about family, faith, and freedom.
High praise from Governor Palin about Ted Nugent. The two teamed up for a remarkable episode of Amazing America on Sportsman Channel. Now, Verizon is dumping the very network the show is on. While Verizon cries low viewership, Nugent has other ideas. Today, the one and only Motor City Madman is here to talk about that and much, much more. Ted Nugent is coming up. A special extended exclusive interview on Mama Grizzly Radio. Sarah Palin speaks at the historic anti-Iranian nukes rally with Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, and Mark Levin. A brand new installment of Liberty and Legacy with Tamara Colbert is on the way from Texas. And just ahead, our latest edition of Steel Resolve with Sarah Steelman in Missouri. Welcome to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. The Palin Update is sponsored by 3D Security and Training Academy. Learn more at 3dsta.com. Now, let's get ready to rock. He is a music legend and a great defender of our Second Amendment. Never shy to talk common sense and fight for this country he so loves. Ted Nugent is now hitting back at Verizon, the company that's getting rid of Sportsman Channel. He is Ted Nugent, and he joins us right now on the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Mr. Nugent, thank you so much for being with us, sir.
Papa Grizzly calling in for Mama Grizzly. Happy hunting season to you from the Nugent family from the freedom-drenched swamps of Texas.
Now, that's an intro. That's what we like to hear. You know, we had a great time watching you with Governor Palin a while back, a few months back on Sportsman Channel when you did her Amazing America show. I had the great opportunity of writing a Breitbart piece about it, a full recap of a wild and fun day between you and Governor Palin. And I want to talk a little bit about that episode, and let's talk about that very network. Some things going on right now with some cable companies where some of us now are not going to be able to get that great network. What's going on there, and what's your take on why?
Well, I think everybody knows what's going on, and I won't give you my take. I'll just give you the facts and the details and the self-evident truth and the logic and the common sense if you still have a brain and a heart and a soul, and that is that political correctness is choking the life out of the freedom in this country. And you got a bunch of punks on the other side of the world that think that somehow in between barbecues the animals have rights, which is, so absurd that Alfred E. Newman wouldn't include it in the next issue of Mad Magazine because he'd be too busy flying over the cuckoo's nest. I mean, literally anybody that's against hunting, fishing, and trapping, the Second Amendment and self-defense and the right to keep... I mean, you really have to be from some planet other than Earth. So as I travel this country and I see people like Verizon, I see people that are against hunting, people that want to cancel the Sportsman's Channel, as it perfectly, reverentially, and excitedly and passionately and honestly represents the hunting, fishing, trapping families of this country, it's another indictment into the soullessness of those on the left that are against truth, nature, God's creation, and the perfection of tooth, fang, and claw that produces backstraps to feed America and the world. I mean, it really is Planet of the Apes stuff when you're against this kind of perfection.
Is this why you and Governor Palin seem to get along so well, and certainly on that episode, because you're using these words that just, drive liberals up the wall, things like common sense, things like God, things like, the way things should be and are, and facts, things they like to avoid. Just a breath of fresh air to see you two together. It seemed like you had such a great time with her.
Well, Kevin, I'll tell you, it is a great time when you function as God's servant. I mean, the Thanksgiving. I almost feel like the author of Wango Tango is trying to explain that 1 and 1 equals 2 to a bunch of people that resist such obvious, fundamental, basic truisms that guide quality of life. So it's not just Governor Palin and myself. Sure, we have a good time. Anybody that's not having a good time with me is weird. And Governor Palin and I are cut from the same we the people experiment in self-government cloth, where we refuse to accept that the king owns the deer, and only the king can keep and bear arms. So this experiment in self-government is not just a Sarah Palin, Ted Nugent thing, Kevin. I travel this country constantly. I just got back from an absolute soul-cleansing elk hunt on the Hill Ranch in Colorado with my Primos blood brothers, where my son Toby and I just celebrated the great spirit of renewability and Thanksgiving every minute of our waking life. And what I believe in, what you believe in, what Sarah Palin believes in, it's not our thing. It's the thing. And everywhere I travel, all 50 states, every Canadian province, even across Europe and Scotland and England and in Austria, no matter where I'm rocking and rolling, Kevin, everybody wants to talk about the fun, the sport, the challenge, the pure venison, the trophy, the spirit, the memories that is the natural season of harvest, the hunting, fishing, trapping lifestyle. So only really weird people like Michael Moore, who continues to be bowling for hygiene, only absolute weirdos don't get this stuff. So if I piss off the weirdos in the process of genuflecting at the altar of self-evident truth, that's just a bonus.
Yeah, doing something good for the day. You know, Governor Palin, to paraphrase on this program a little while ago, said something very similar, and that her dad taught her, you know, if you're not driving liberals crazy, you're not trying hard enough or not doing the right thing that day. And, you know, you may as well smile a little bit because you, just like Governor Palin, get attacked so much from all different angles. A lot of falsehoods thrown at you, a lot of downright lies thrown at you, nasty stuff, too. I've asked the Palin family this many times, and you're a person in the spotlight who's also in similar shoes. How do you deal with things like that when people come after you, especially from a standpoint of your family, you know, your wife and children, when you have to have these attacks and go after these people? It's gotta be rough.
You know, it is rough on my wife. My wife, Shemaine, is a gentle soul. She's incredibly intelligent, incredibly passionate, incredibly compassionate, incredibly aware. And she represents, you know, we the people. She represents people all around this world with core values and common sense, just like Governor Palin often articulates very valiantly, I might add. But to me, I remember the Alamo, and I remember Iwo Jima, and I remember the Bataan Death March, and I remember Auschwitz, and I remember the Trail of Tears, and I will never forget, and even though our so-called education system in America has made sure that I would guess most graduating kids have never even heard of the things I just mentioned. Yeah. But there's always been good, bad, and ugly. And when you know damn well you are doing good, you have to fight the bad and the ugly, which is real obvious. It's always politically correct. It's always a Mao Zedong, Barack Obama redistribution, social justice, income equality scam. It's such an obvious, flagrant scam that you know you're doing good, so you've got to crush the bad and the ugly. And you crush the bad and the ugly not in a vicious way, but by exposing the absurdity, the indecency. And you're right. My family's lives have been threatened since the 1960s, Kevin, because we eat venison. I mean, wow. You've got to be kidding me. You can hear the laughter in my voice because it's so bizarre. And I don't even want to get into the insanity that they want to kill human lives because we kill deer. I don't even want to get into that because that's so planet of the cuckoo's nest, bizarro, Michael Moore, Hillary Clinton, I lost my emails nonsense, that I am pleased, tickled pink, you might hear it in my voice. Pink is how I like my venison, too. You might hear that I'm tickled pink in my voice, that I'm causing these weird punks much pain, suffering, and anguish, confusion, and downright anger, because I'm doing good, and I get kicked in the teeth, but I do good anyway.
Well, it is weird behavior. It's outrageous. It's amazing. It's people living their lives and getting attacked for it. Meantime, as Bristol Palin and Governor Palin pointed out recently, all the horrors of Planned Parenthood that have been exposed, and you see a lot on the left avoiding that. Yet, you know, they said if they were animals, if they showed some, you know, we saw the situation with the lion that was shot, or you look at, you know, if they had anything to do with PETA, well, then everyone would be in an uproar. But here, when they were talking about baby parts, people are, you know, looking the other way on certain angles from the left. So it really is living in a bizarro world sometime, and I think that even speaks more to what you do and what Governor Palin does, not being afraid to speak out, because a lot of people could say, hey, it's not worth the headache, it's not worth putting my family through things, but you know there's a bigger purpose here. I want to read what Verizon said as far as getting rid of Sportsman Channel. Their official quote, Ted, was, "We have decided not to renew our contract for Sportsman Channel due to its low viewership and have discontinued broadcasting it. We are sorry for any inconvenience this may cause." Meantime, they list a bunch of other networks that have nothing to do with the great program like you have on Sportsman Channel. And let's also point this out. The network will continue to run Al Jazeera.
I know. It's another example of just the soullessness that is political correctness that comes from the left, that comes from liberals, that comes from Democrats over and over and over again. Here's what I believe about that statement from Verizon. It's a lie. It's a political correct escape mechanism, because I believe that Verizon is infested with anti-hunters, animal rights freaks, anti-gunners, people that don't believe in self-defense. And I see the consistency from that side, Kevin, where they know that it is gun-free zones. It is the liberal Michael Bloomberg dream of a gun-free zone where conclusively most innocent lives have always been lost, and Kevin, they want more of them. You've got to be kidding me. Our Ted Nugent Spirit of the Wild show has been the number one voted viewer favorite for, I think, 23 or 24 years now, since we started on public television. Boy, did we throw them a sucker punch. But the truth about hunting and killing and butchering and gutting and skinning and using God's precious renewable resources the way they're meant to be used to feed people with 250 million pure meals of quality, nutritious, renewable, yummy venison. That's 250 million a year to soup kitchens and homeless shelters. I believe that there's a bunch of people at Verizon that would like to ban the distribution of 100% healthy, nutritious venison to hungry Americans, because they actually think that living, breathing, flesh and blood creatures created by God for our use can be reduced to the cartoon character names of Bambi, Boo Boo, and Thumper. If that's not indecent, if that's not dishonest, if that's not downright obscene and irresponsible and disrespectful to wildlife, I don't know what is.